Hello and welcome back, everybody. I got a 4520P with the 31 horsepower direct fuel injected liquid cooled Kawasaki engine. So I've done a fuel test in the past on the Kubota diesel compared to the Kubota N, the gas model, the fuel injected. And now that I got a P model, I wanted to do a test on that and test the fuel consumption of that engine as well. I thought I did one on the Z model, but I didn't. So we're gonna exclude the Z model, the carbureted Kubota gas. But honestly, I think everyone's going with the fuel injected Kubota anyway, so eventually that engine, I imagine Kubota will phase that one out. So I'm not even real concerned about it. I can tell you, operating a Z model with the carburetor compared to the Kubota fuel injected, the Kubota fuel injected definitely gets better fuel efficiency than the old carburetor version. So this is going to be a perfect test to actually take each engine with the most efficient on fuel that they are and do a test side by side to see which one it is. So how I did this before was I took a can, these are the exact same manufacturers of cans, I put a piece of tape in the exact same spot, I filled the line to the bottom of the tape, filled the tractors up to the bottom of the neck, shook them, we mowed, and then I dumped the fuel back into the tank, the same spot, and marked it, and we measured. It was sort of a generic way of doing it, but it gave you an idea on a can how much fuel you were consuming. Now, I got to thinking that doesn't give me an accurate amount of how much fuel per hour they consume or the cost to operate. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take the P, we're gonna mow with that, mark it, and I bought these cups from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take the fuel from these lines and fill these cups. I'm gonna mark the ounces and we're gonna figure out consumption rate per hour of each engine and then the cost to operate also, because this will help all of you maybe make the right engine choice or decision. So I'm not sending a rocket ship to Mars here. This isn't aviation science. I don't, how much fuel it's gonna take to get up there. This is just back barn figuring out. So yes, if you have a tough cut or a power rake, you're gonna consume more fuel. If you're just toting a power bucket around, you're gonna use less fuel. But this is operating a 72-inch mower deck. Each tractor, roughly, it was right around 2 hours. I got 6 acres, but I'm mowing about 5.5 by the time you minus the buildings, the driveway, etc. So 2 hours on each machine. They all had a 5-minute warm-up time. I mowed the exact same areas, everything, and this will give us a pretty accurate and close on how much fuel they consume. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I tested my 4500Y, and the other models were 4520s. So I think if I would have used a 4520Y, the results could have been a little bit maybe on the better side of fuel consumption with the newer hydraulics, but I don't think it's gonna be a drastic measure that much. So we're gonna go with 4500 versus the other two being 4520s. Let me get the piece set up. I'll show you guys making some passes with it mowing, and we'll mark that can and we'll see the results here in a little bit. All right, so for the fuel test, I did like I did with the other fuel tests I did. Hopefully you can see that. I filled the tractor up, I shook it, got all the air bubbles out, burped it, and the fuel line is right at the bottom of the neck of the tank. And then what I'm gonna do is I still have this can here from when I did the other fuel tests. For some reason I left the tape on them, which is good. And you can see it through the sun, shaking it. The fuel level is right below this tape right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and mow the whole lawn with it. We'll come back, top it off with this can, and then we'll see where it fell from the Kubota model. All right, so looking at the back here, it's been probably 8 days since I've mowed. I'll show you up front too. So this grass isn't extremely thick and tall. It's just been dry here. We had a really wet first part of the summer. Now it's been dry. So if anything, the grass isn't as tall probably as some of the other videos, but it's gonna be a close comparison. I don't think it's gonna affect it much, but it may give it a slight bit of a little bit of advantage. All right, so here's the front yard. It's not real tall there, but over in this part of the front yard, it's a little taller. It's still pretty equivalent to the other tests that I've done. So it'll be a general idea of the fuel efficiency of the P model. So let me get the tractor going. I'll get you some video of it mowing, and then we'll see how it did on fuel efficiency. So I just got done mowing. We'll take the can, Same one I used to measure the other test we did, and we'll fill this up and then we'll check the line and see how much it used. All right, so I got it all filled back up. I shook it, burped it, got as many bubbles out as I could to make sure. Guys, I was not expecting this at all. According to the fuel gauge when I was mowing, I thought this thing was doing extremely well. But after filling it, you can see the line is right there, not much above the other one. All right, so measuring out, we'll go to that bottom one first. That was 6.5 inches. And then now measuring the P, pretty close to 6 inches. So there's only a 1/2 inch difference. All right, so I got the results in, and after carefully marking each can with tape and then siphoning and pouring the fuel out very carefully into a measuring cup and calculating all the fuel, I finally got the numbers. But before I give you them, I just wanted to point out a couple things. These numbers are for the Ventrac. The Ventrac is a very fuel efficient machine no matter which engine choice you choose. Compared to anything else on the market, the versatility of this machine, it's still very fuel efficient, I would say, compared to anything on the market. One other thing I wanted to point out, and I've said this before, this is for general mowing with a 72-inch mower deck. I mowed for 2 hours. Now, if you're using an attachment that, demands more power and you're lugging the engine harder, say a power rake, a snow blower, etc., you're going to consume more fuel. If you're using something like a power bucket or the power grapple, just moving some stuff around, you're going to consume less fuel. So this is a general test. This isn't like I said, I'm not sending a rocket to Mars or anything like that. This is just back garage Ventrac number crunching to help you guys decide on which engine may be the best choice for you. They're all great engines. I like them all, but what may work best for me may not work for you. And that's why I like doing these videos, to help all of you decide and give you some insight on some different things with the engines to help you choose the best engine that you choose in your Ventrac. So now we're getting started. I did the test in the Y, measured out the fuel. It was 262 ounces. And that equals 2.04 gallons. So roughly the diesel model uses 1 gallon per hour. I did the same thing with the P model, the Kawasaki. 352 ounces, which is 2.75 gallons, which is 1.4 gallons per hour. Now measuring the N model, which is the Kubota, the fuel injected, that took 390 ounces, which was 3.04 gallons. So the 0.04 is not a big deal like on the diesel. So that's 1.5 gallons per hour of fuel to operate the Kubota gas, which is 50% more fuel it took than the Y model. So there we go. I didn't do the test on the Z, and I can contribute the fuel injected Kubota gets better fuel efficiency than the Z for sure. I could tell it when I was operating it. So if you are looking at a Z model, I do not have the results on that, but you're going to consume more fuel on the Z model than you will the N. So I broke down a few things here. We're going to do fuel prices and cost to operate the machine per hour. I'm going to talk about a few more things. Gas prices, when I did this test, I'm going to go by them. Fuel's been fluctuating. I've seen gasoline prices within a 30-mile radius of me reach as low as like $2.76. It's all up over $3 a gallon now. Diesel fuel fluctuates also. There are co-ops 40 minutes from me. I usually get diesel fuel for like about $2.91 a gallon, but I generally don't drive that far. So there again, I'm going to do average prices on what they are. So the fuel price of on-road diesel while doing this test, and it's about what it is now, is $3.59 a gallon. The off-road diesel all around me that's minutes from my home is $3.19 a gallon. And the average cost of gasoline, 87 octane. This isn't non-ethanol, nothing like that. So if you guys are buying, higher grade 93 or non-ethanol, you can do the math on this as well with the calculations. But I'm going to go on gasoline prices that were $3.19 per gallon because that's what I paid when I did the test in the P model. So that's what I'm going to base this off of. So using the Y model, it's pretty much going to be whatever the rate of diesel fuel is what it's going to cost you per hour. It's pretty easy math. If you're using on-road diesel, it's $3.59 an hour to operate. If you're using the off-road, it's $3.19 an hour to operate. Going to the P model at $3.19 a gallon, the cost to operate the Kawasaki P model is roughly $4.47 per hour. To operate the N model at $3.19 a gallon, it's $4.79 an hour to operate that machine. And these numbers I'm giving you guys, this mathematical, if you guys own a business, you're a landscaper, anyone that uses these machines, you can use this math to help you. So if you have a job and you think it's going to take 14 hours to do the job, this is easy math to give you guys numbers to calculate the fuel cost to charge your customer also. So basically operating the machine for an 8-hour day, the Y model is going to cost you, using on-road diesel fuel, $28.72. The off-road is what I use, so it would cost me an 8-hour day operating the machine $25.52 a day in operating for 8 hours. If you were operating the P model for an 8-hour day, it's going to be $35.76. And if you operated the N model, it'd be $38.32 for an 8-hour day to operate that machine. And that's mowing. It could increase and it could decrease depending on your needs. I just want to keep making that clear. This is what I really wanted to talk about. Fuel for businesses is it's a large cost no matter what you're doing. If you're in the construction business or whatever, fuel costs money. And I know there's write-offs for business, and I don't personally own a business or anything, so I don't know all the ins and outs like probably a lot of you watching this channel is. I'm sure there's write-offs, but not to an extent. So this is what I wanted to talk about for a business, and this is where fuel consumption for a homeowner like myself. I'm not trying to steer you guys away from an N model at all. If you want that, fuel injected Kubota and you don't care about the fuel economy, honestly guys, in 2,000 hours of use, one machine, it's not going to affect you any. I'm not saying don't buy the N model. I'm just saying that it's probably, you're not going to see it in the long run. Buy the engine you want. But if you say you're a business and you're a contractor, you're doing snow blowing and you're operating 4 units, or you're a golf course and you have 4 units, this is where these numbers I'm going to run here, I want to tell you, if most business people want to put money in their pocket, not their fuel tank. So if you're someone that's operating a machine for, say, you buy a fleet of these machines and you operate them 400 hours a year and you run them for 5 years and then you trade them in and get new ones. So I'm going to base this on if you ran the machines for 2,000 hours and traded them in, what it would cost you in that 2,000 hours operating the machine before you traded it in, just to give you some insight. Operating the Y, the diesel model, on-road diesel, it would cost you, the life of that machine operating it would be $7,180 to operate it for 2,000 hours. If you were running off-road diesel, which most of you would be owning a business like myself, I don't own a business, but I run off-road diesel like myself. In 2,000 hours of my machine, at the rate the diesel fuel was, I calculated this at, would be $6,380. Operating the P model with the Kawasaki would be $8,940 to operate that machine, and the N model would be $9,580. And if you had a Z model, it would exceed that. So just to put this in perspective, operating a diesel model over the Kubota fuel injected model, in them 5 years at 400 hours a year, is going to be a cost savings of $3,200. Now that's not giant. I mean, that's a lot of money, but in 5 years, if you need the power, it's not a lot of money. But if you're doing snow blowing and other things where you're not climbing hills and you don't need that extra power of that 32 horsepower gas engine, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, that the diesel can save you guys a lot of money if you're not power hungry. Now the big time is going to be if you own 4 machines. So most generally snow plow contractors, that kind of stuff, if you're doing snow removal, or like I said, golf courses, I'm going to base this on the same thing. 4 tractors, if you had a fleet of 4 tractors and you were trading them in 5 years at 2,000 hours, on-road diesel, is going to cost you for 4 units in 5 years $28,720. Off-road diesel, $25,520. The Kawasaki engine with 4 of them would cost you $35,760, and the N model would be $38,320. Now, taking the diesel model to the Kubota gas, the lowest horsepower to the highest horsepower, that's $12,800 in savings in them 5 years. Now, like I said, that's not huge and substantial, but anytime you can save money is a good thing. And one more thing I wanted to point out before I end this video, and this isn't really about fuel, but since I'm talking about businesses, the MSRPs on all these engines are different. I believe the Z model is the cheapest, followed by the P model, then the Y model, and the N model is actually substantially more cost than any of the other models. Now, that's not a big deal. I'm not telling you not to get the N model, because spending more money for that N model, if that's what you want, it's fine. You're going to get your money back because the N model is a very popular model. It's highly desirable. So even resale, you'll get your money back. But right now they offer 0% financing, which is not a big deal. They hadn't done that in a long time. But you have to take into consideration with these engine options also, if you're buying a fleet of Ventracs, 4, 6 of them, whatever, and if you don't need that extra horsepower, all that extra money on the MSRP, and it's quite a bit. On 4 units, I think it could be like $15,000, $16,000 more money to upgrade to that engine. Now, if you're paying a 4.5% to 6% interest rate, that's a lot of money you're spending that if you don't need it, you wouldn't have to spend, and it wouldn't come out of your pocket. So just wanted to, like I said, give you guys some ideas on the fuel efficiency of these, a little more than just putting a piece of tape on a fuel can. I wanted to do it a little more professional. I try to give you guys videos that are different than what anyone else out there is doing, and I do like to give you guys Ventrac in action. I do plan on keep doing more videos like this, so if you haven't, be sure to subscribe or always check back. Thanks for watching.